Hey, everybody. Good evening. How are you? Well, I hope. It's Wednesday. Um, and with that, another awkward introduction into the beginning of the Reclamation game campaign. Yep. Um, I know I'm killing it tonight. Uh,
Ice broken.
yep. Along with my confidence. But I swear the game is way better than the reflection of the introduction. I promise. Um, yeah, we're back. Session 5. And, there's really no reason to beat around the bush. Hey, Ben, why don't you tell us what happened last session?
Sure. Last session, we went through the portal. Everybody went through the portal to meet the Greenskeeper. We were met by an elderly gnome, I believe he was, named Thistle.
Correct.
He loved puns, and most of us tolerated it. Lilith loved it. And the Greenskeeper and Thistle let us stay in their grove so we could rest a night. They also agreed to help us get south as per Fazil's contract with the Greenskeeper. Roz, Audie, and Lilith had a discussion about Lilith's family and the fact that they exist. And Lilith and Roz slept together, which was fun.
Put that back in context.
Phrasing.
They did not ride bikes, but they did sleep together.
That is important.
Corona got some candy.
Oh yeah.
And we all had a good night's rest. And then we found out that a group of special agents called the Striders.
Yep.
Were looking for survivors / refugees. We met Captain Hayland, something like that. And he told us about a refugee camp, and we all agreed that's probably where we should go. And then the captain got yelled at by the Greenskeeper. And then we all went to the refugee camp. The Greenskeeper teleported us away. We found out that the camp was split into 2 sections, basically the mercenary side and the non-mercenary side. Titan got Greenwood settled while the usual suspects ran off to become mercs. That stuff. The usual suspects plus Corona. Just were like, hey, you know what? Mercenary work. Everybody joined up for their own reasons, with the exception of Audie, who lacked the self-confidence to do it. And then, they met Covert.
Mm-hmm.
Was the guy hiring them on for mercenary work. He gave them stipends to get equipment and get ready. And Titan gave a speech and then went off to ride bikes with Lotus. And that I think that's all I can remember.
Yeah.
I think that's everything.
I have to put responsibility on at least one other person, because we have an out-of-game, in-character chat that occurs for non-important things. Is there anything important amongst those things that occurred between sessions that you feel like people should know?
I think most significantly, Audie has been dared to go into the brothel solely and for the only reason of figuring out what the prices of their baths are.
I mean, that's their reason for daring Audie.
So that might have to happen.
Likely, even.
And Lilith told Roz about the ghost in her head.
Ah, yes.
That's a thing.
I also know that Melody and Roz each plan to have a conversation with their families about the possibility of going off to war.
That is important.
One of these characters signed up before speaking with their family.
You
It
know?
happens. Okay. Yeah, see, some of these things are important. So much so, because I know there was quite a bit of movement between games. Clearly some time has passed a little in character, a couple of hours later, I would surmise for a lot of people. The end of the day does not have a need to yet come. So that being said, do we want to start with perhaps a conversation amongst family? And if so, who wants to volunteer?
Shall we flip a coin?
My favorite pastime. Who wants heads?
All right, Kay gets heads, I get tails.
Okay. It is heads.
Sucker.
Thanks.
It was a setup. I really hope that camera. I really hope the camera caught the coin flip. It was really good.
It did.
Nice.
It was kind of cool. It like went up out of frame and then back down.
Nice. Yeah, it was one of my better flips. I can't tell you how many
Rigged.
times I've thrown it. Yeah, right. Oh, I just dropped it. I just dropped it from above the camera. Okay. Amongst everyone's various comings and goings, the party has more or less found themselves individually tasked with something at hand, to which we will fall back to the well, before I guess, how dare I assume to jump there? We're going to go to Melody, which is to say, Melody, where are you? And what are you doing?
Well, I think the place that we're going to pick up was that after washing dishes from the
Mhm.
evening meal that was
Mhm.
decided to be absolutely awful, or at
Mhm.
least barely palatable.
Yeah. Allow me to give my physical description of this. So, it was kind of mentioned that it's kind of just like a porridge. It is for anyone that has ever had a healthy, like, multi-nutritional protein bar. If you've had it, you know, and they are awful. Like the taste, the texture, everything about it is just awful. The idea is if you were to take that and then turn it into a liquid sludgy form, that's what it is. So it isn't even that it tastes like nothing. It is genuinely unpleasant, but it literally provides everything you need to be healthy. So yeah, not great. Anyway, I'm sorry, Yadi. Go ahead.
Yeah, so after that, she would return back after having the conversation with Lilith and Roz at the dish trough, as it were. Because she's decided for one reason or another that she is going to sign up, but she wanted to kind of have the conversation with her mom before signing up in case there's some persuasive reason why she shouldn't. So yeah, she would kind of come back and maybe help get the kids settled, or maybe they're playing. Not that there's much of a corner of the tent, but she would go and approach her mother.
Okay. Yeah, Isabel's tending to the younger kids, more or less keeping everything that is there organized, because you did manage to bring some goods with you.
We had a cart.
You did. You had a hand cart that you managed to lug through the woods. And yeah, so things are organized. You have a couple of niceties that perhaps other people don't. And yeah, and she's mostly there just making sure everybody's squared away and happy, and reconciling people's moaning about how awful the food was. But as you approach Adi, she is a mother of several. She doesn't really miss one of her kids approaching her at any time. So she turns to you and greets you with a smile.
Hi there, Mom.
Hey there, Adi.
I want to ask you, tell you, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Lilith and Roz, they're signing up with the Mercs, and I think I can do some good. But I wanted to see that you didn't need me. Oh, sick's quite a handful. And she'd kind of just like look at her.
Are you telling me that you're going, or are you asking for permission?
And she has the decency to look a little embarrassed. She's like, oh, I feel a little old to ask for permission, but I feel that it would be disrespectful not to try. I think I could go and help with morale. I know what end of a sword to hold, but I'm not one for swinging it.
I would honestly not see you separated from either of the two girls if we could. I can take care of 6. And there are others. They'll be more than happy to help.
Ross won't let me get hurt. We both know that. And she'll kind of jump forward and give her mom the biggest hug.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like,
she'll be caught off guard, but she will eventually envelop you in an embrace.
well, I mean, it had to happen sometime. I just think we thought that I'd hop on with a caravan leaving a town instead of this.
Melody, we each have a path to find, and you don't always know when in life you're going to start looking for your own. So where you are now is the place that you have to begin looking from.
And she kind of looks up with just like a button-nosed smile, and she's like kind of grinning. She's like, exactly. The fates have something for all of us. This is mine. I'll be docking to Covert in the morning, so you have me for the night if you need me.
Well then, how about a story for the family?
And she will venture and kind of gather everyone around for a story time. Let's see. She would probably try to be a bit creative, but to put some perspective on what's kind of been happening. She probably won't use names, but she will allude to basically different people in her family and being heroes. So sort of reframing, recapturing what had just happened, them fleeing, and give a story about like Azimuth being there to fight. It would kind of be in more of like the traditional like prince, princess, dragon kind of fairy tale that we'd be used to in our world. Kind of thing. That that the prince stayed behind to make sure that the princess could flee.
Right.
And
well, actually, the dragon assumption's a hateful stereotype.
That's fair. That's fair.
It's usually a Mercurian. It's usually a Mercurian that's doing it, but often people consider them the same.
I was gonna say that's fair. Being that it's Eldarth, it might have been a Mercurian creation. You never know. Audie would know much better than I.
Okay.
Yeah, and unless anybody comes calling for her, she'll stay the night with her family.
Well, let's find out. As we cut away from the Albrecht tent, heading over to where Roz is standing outside her family's temporary abode.
Roz has this look of being incredibly tense, as if she were a prize fighter about to go into a boxing match. She is dreading this and has been ever since she signed up with Covert. All right. All right, this won't be so bad. Here we go. I'm going to walk right in and look for Granddad.
He is within. He's currently on a folding camping stool, and he's whittling away at a large hunk of wood. Not even sure where the wood came from, but he's managed to procure it already.
Oh, you've been here for half a day and you're already hard at work.
Did you expect me to just sit around and do nothing?
Well, you're getting older. I was hoping you'd at least take a little time for yourself.
Ah, yes, and take a lovely vacation right here.
Exactly. And speaking of doing things around here, so I did something a little bit earlier. Got got a job.
A job?
Mm-hmm. It's a good job.
Yeah.
Sign-on bonus is 500 silvers worth of equipment.
Oh, that is impressive. And who is it with?
Have you met Covert at all?
No, can't say I have.
Well, see, Covert is he's contracting new mercenaries to go fight off in the war, so I signed up for the bonus right away. Didn't even think about it, only thought about how I should talk to you after I made the decision.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you'll be changing your mind.
No, I don't think I will.
And so I'll reserve the yelling and the screaming mostly for myself.
Yep.
And I will wish you luck then. Because it seems to be the only thing I can do now.
It's the right thing to do.
He nods a few times. He's officially stopped whittling. He's got one of his tools in his open hand. He's just kind of like waggling in the air, like he's trying to figure out something to say.
And I'm strong. I'm tough. I know which end of an axe to swing. I've got militia training. I know how to do this, Granda. I'll be all right.
And when the time comes for it, you're willing to take a life?
If I have to, without hesitation. Listen, Granda, I've been wanting to do something like this for a long time, and we had to both know it was going to come to this one day. I didn't know it was going to be going off to war either, but you knew I wasn't going to sit around a house and just work forever.
He finally puts the tool down and just kind of rests both of his hands on his knees. You see him take this big, deep inhale and then slowly lets it back out. No, I don't suppose I could have kept you locked up in Greenwood all your life. Even though my intentions were good. Keep you safe. Protect you the way I couldn't your father. I have one condition.
Yeah, what is it?
He gets up, takes a bit of a ragged step towards you, kind of showing the wear from the escape. And he puts a gnarled, weathered hand on your shoulder and just locks eyes with you. Always come back.
Even if I have to walk home on a stump.
Even when odds are stacked against you, even when you think your time has come, you always come back. Do you hear me?
Granda, I'm going out there to fight to the bitter, bloody end. But it's not going to be my end. I'm coming home. Every single time. I promise.
He shakes your shoulder, gripping it firmly, and then gives it a couple of pats. Good, good. Well, then it's settled then.
Yeah, I suppose it is. By the way, Lilith's going to sleep over again.
She rolls eyes. Aye, that's fine.
Now you see that? Kind of like the previous thing. Already made that decision. Even if it wasn't fine, it was probably still going to happen.
He goes over to the small sling bag that he hoofed with him all the way from Greenwood, and he reaches into it, and he pulls out a flask. Well, then how about you and I have a drink?
I'd love to. But just so you know, if you're mad at my stubbornness, just remember I got it from you.
He takes a swig and presses the flask into your chest. Yeah.
I raise the flask, take my own drink, sit down and have a drink with my granddad.
Mm-hmm. Great. To the remainder of the party, does anyone have anything they would like to do on this day?
I do actually.
Okay, Corona.
So this is taking place after Titan's speech, but before the official end of the day, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Just to make sure. Okay. So I think Corona, you know, after Titan's speech is kind of left there thinking about it a little bit. She's able to maybe, she's not sure if it's paranoia or if she's reading between the lines and seeing something that, maybe some others aren't. But it leaves kind of like a pit in her stomach, the way that Titan ended his speech in particular.
Mm-hmm.
But she understands it. Um, and I think that she probably just thinks to herself, I should let the doc and the missus settle things out tonight. She makes a mental note. She'll probably be visiting him in the morning. Um, but for now, she's going to go around and I guess make a either mental or physical note with all the people in the mercenary camp, trying to figure out, okay, what should I buy, what can I afford, and essentially just kind of like planning that out so that in the morning she can just kind of like pick it up if that's okay with them, and so she can like budget out in advance,
Right.
if nothing else, as a means to just like keep her mind off of what's going to be happening. You know, everyone signed up at this point almost, so
Mm-hmm.
she's just kind of trying her own way to kind of keep her mind off things, and this is how she's going to do it.
Yeah. The northern side of the camp is where all of the hired craftsmen are. And it's honestly, it makes up for about a quarter of the total population of the entire hunters camp altogether. And so there are dozens of different places to stop and inquire as to, what do you make here? What do you specialize in? What are the costs for this? And so it can fill a good amount of your time.
Yeah, she really doesn't mind that, as long as they don't mind, being open or however it works, for that long amount of time.
Given that it's later in the evening, you do find that a couple of, various places that are clearly segmented out for somebody else are empty, but there are other craftsmen that are just choosing to work through part of the night.
Okay.
So yeah, you're not lost without. And of course, some people can also speak to other people's abilities or specialties, and so it's one of those, like, you'll know what would be available to just purchase tonight versus if you have to make a request for perhaps a specific item or something of that nature. They'll tell you when to come back tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, she's not looking to inconvenience anyone. Cool. So yeah, she's going to do that, and however long that takes will take as long as it takes. But at the end, she's just going to probably hamper down and go back to her and her parents' little section where the tents are and everything, and follow what seems to be the trend of letting our loved ones know that we've signed up. Although at least for her parents, it shouldn't be that big of a surprise, I wouldn't imagine. But yeah, Corona intends to also let her parents know just what's going on. She's preparing. She might be heading out, but she intends to come back. It's what she knows how to do best to help out around here.
I don't think either of your parents are surprised. If anything, I think there's a joke about how Ma should have taken a bet with Pa of how quickly you would have signed up. Because you've had the great fortune of your parents always being extremely supportive of you, understanding you quite well. I think after you explain to them what's happened and what you're going to be doing, the only thing they ask is they just kind of look at you and go, "Do you need anything from us? Is there anything we can do for you?"
No, I don't think so. I think just take care of yourselves. And if you need anything from me, just let me know. If I need to miss out on an excursion or two, I don't care. I mean, I was worried sick before we all met up back out of Greenwood. I don't want to lose you guys.
Well, from what we've been told, we're a good distance away from all the fighting. I think Ma and I are just going to try to find something for us to do here so we can, not just be sitting around.
Right. Seems like there's plenty. If you want me to show you around tomorrow, I can. I don't think we'll be heading out immediately or anything.
Yeah. Sure, why not?
Yeah, all right. Well, let's eat this gruel, I guess. but at least we have some dessert.
Everyone kind of simultaneously looks at the bowls. Ma kind of takes a spoonful of it, and it just sort of slowly, almost like, boogers down back into the bowl. And then they look at the bag of hard candies, and everyone smiles a little bit more grateful.
-3 candy.
Yep.
But yeah, that's all for Corona.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Remainder of the day. Lilith, Titan, anything for you two?
Oh, not for the remainder of the day, anyways.
Okay.
Lilith was standing directly outside of Roz's tent, being an emotional support element. So, once she realizes that conversation is done, she just goes inside to spend time with them.
Yeah. These tents are certainly not soundproof. So you probably enter like on a really good beat. Okay. If that is said, without any further ado, we will then end that day and begin the next.
Titan's up relatively early so they can say his goodbyes to the remaining people of Greenwood.
Mm-hmm. Which is it's a long list. Comparatively to what it was, I suppose it isn't anymore, but in the fact that pretty much everybody will come to greet you for what is a farewell into the next step of Titan's journey.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, whoops. You'd also probably see Corona. It seems like she's waiting for you patiently.
Yeah, when he gets a break from everybody or finishes his goodbyes, whichever, he'd come see you, Corona. Hey, Corona, what's up?
Hey, Doc. Got some plans for today?
Well, yeah, guess I'm gonna go sign up at the Mercs.
Oh,
What about you?
already beat you to the punch. I was actually gonna let you know about it.
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest with you, Corona. Pretty happy to know you got my back.
Well, I'll try, but I'll be honest too. The way you ended that speech last night had me worried that you were gonna go out there alone and wreak hell.
Yeah, a few people mentioned that. If I had to, I would.
Well,
but I think the Mercs have the resources I need right now.
they have a hell of a lot of resources. If you want, I can show you around. I'm planning to go and pick stuff up anyway.
I'd appreciate it.
All
Let
right,
me
well,
finish saying my goodbyes, and then you can
for sure. No
show me where
rush.
to go and what to get.
I'll be by my tent over there. You can just holler.
Yeah. Anything else?
Nah, that's it. I was just worried, honestly. Didn't want you to go out there and being a hero.
No, not a hero.
Better leave
Just,
some for the rest of us.
I'm gonna give Corona like a little playful push.
Okay.
I'm sure there's plenty for us all.
Yeah. All right. I'll leave you to it then. And she'll turn and, kind of give a hand gesture, walk away. Let Titan do his thing.
Yep.
Yeah, Titan, you're gonna continue going about your circuit. I mean, most of the Greenwood, people are in a segmented part of the camp, and it isn't it doesn't take very long for people to kind of eventually kind of catch wind of what you're doing, which is kind of coming around, saying again farewells from this chapter into the next. And so a lot of people do kind of come and meet you out in small groups, of which they're all familiar faces, people you've cared for, some of which you've watched, born and helped raise, as the village doctor, others who you've helped give birth to those children, people who've relied on you as a doctor and friend. If anything, I think by comparison, I kind of hit you with it earlier, but by stark contrast, it only makes you remember all the other villagers of Greenwood that didn't make it here.
Yeah, for sure. It's all weighing heavy upon Titan's soul, but he knows what he needs to do. And most of the townsfolk, he'd get, a show of bravado and excitement, but, a few of the close ones know that there's some nervousness and worry about what's going to happen while he's gone and what could happen to him.
All right. While Titan is making his rounds, Adi, Roz, or Lilith, anything of mention that y'all want to do in the first part of this day?
Right and early. Time to get geared up.
Okay.
Yep. Got these vouchers. Time to go spend them.
All right. Seems reasonable. So you all can make your way towards the northern side of the camp where all the craftsmen are. And you can see during this part of the morning, if anything, it is exceptionally busy. The most amount of craftsmen are here and working. You hear, hammers on anvils, shouts, an occasional crash, just a lot of movement. And amongst them all are several dozen individuals that are here, picking up, checking armor, looking at fittings, checking weapons, and, things of that nature, amongst what are clearly fresh-faced people coming from the same camp you all are, and a handful of other mercenaries who either have a tabard or an armband, or just a very particular style to themselves, denoting that they're from the eastern side of the mercenary camps, either here picking up, a repair job or something along those lines. So it is bustling, to say the least.
Oh, I'm excited. Are you excited?
A little bit.
I'm gonna get the biggest, thickest armor I can find.
Just remember you have to buy everything else too.
Well, if I can't buy nothing else, maybe the suit will have gauntlets and I can hit him with that. Or the sword, I guess. I do have a nice sword. I keep forgetting to have you look at it. It's fine, it's not that important. I'm gonna go look at that armor.
I'm gonna find a leather worker.
Well, the good news is for both of you, you don't wander too far away from each other, because there's essentially a segment where on one half you could tell there are armor smiths, on the other side there are tanners and leather workers, and there are these kind of roughshod, mostly wooden pole, cross T-section mannequins that are holding up various suits of leather and chainmail in various forms of plate and splint and half plate.
I'm just imagining a newly polished set of full plate with a price tag on it just to tease Roz.
That is to say, there is a set of full plate here. However, it is not new. You could tell it has been repaired and has been polished to make it look more appealing. but has clearly probably been taken off, somebody that is no longer alive.
That seems like an ill omen.
That being said, it does have a pretty hefty price tag of 1,200 silvers.
Huh. Well, instead of that, how about this wonderful set of Brigandine and Splint? It's almost as good.
There's a dwarven smith nearby that's currently arranging a dozen pairs of gauntlets over a table. If that's what you're looking for, we could fit it to you, no problem.
Yeah. A nice brigandine for the chest and shoulders and all that.
You a new mercenary?
Nope.
Then
I've got 500 in a voucher right here. Signed up with Covert yesterday.
new blood, all right. This your first set of armor?
That's right.
And then I think we'll be seeing you a lot.
What's that supposed to mean?
Oh, nothing. If you come along over here to the side, we'll take your measurements and get your armor ready.
Happily.
This dwarf is wearing a big smirk on his face the whole time. And he and an assistant, and another dwarf, will, as you come around, they'll have you stand up. Actually, they won't have you stand up on a crate. They'll have you stand normally. One of them will stand on a crate. And between the two of them, get several measurements done very quickly. And then tell you that the fitting will be done sometime around noon. As they grab your choice of combined armor and basically throw it into a queue of probably some other 24 various sets of armors that need adjustment.
I am vibrating with excitement at this point at the prospect of wearing all of this armor I've been measured for.
And you're new. You should probably go check out the weapons down the way as well.
Right. Yes. Weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna go do that.
Yeah, you do that. Go on. Lilith? Comparatively, to your side, a lot of the leather workers, there's a mishmash over here, especially between the tanners and the leather workers. A lot of representation in terms of race. Greenish, elvish, human. You'll be greeted by shorter human. Honestly, fits right in with most of the other Greenwood women of the party. Being just shy of 5 feet, set of round glasses, brown hair pulled back into a ponytail, has a clipboard, very plain sort of green slacks, white worker shirt, brown vest. Is there something I can help you with? Need some armor?
Yes, I'm thinking something like studded leather.
Very popular choice. We have a couple of choices for you if you'd like to take a look. Mostly just comes down to the make you prefer, the influence of the culture, if you will. And she'll take you over to a side set again where there are kind of laid in rows across a huge table, and then up on these big wooden tees, mannequins to display them. A couple of variations of armor. Most notably, leather armor is pretty common to come from, several cultures because of the need, but Rhenish and Elvish leather armor is probably considered amongst the best, if only because of their specific cultural talents. Elves are very practical and form-fitting, versus the Rhenish armor tends to be very much more cut and plied in a method that would be more akin to natural camouflage, and that they shape it in such ways and do imprints into the leather to make it blend with different types of environments in leaf shape and branches, along with dyeing to match. Something that the elves consider to be wasteful, given that advanced elven armor, like with the Striders, for instance, they usually will apply enchantments to have it adjust to the color of the surroundings. So, do you have a preference?
The elvish armor should be fine. Something with a pauldron on one end and an archer's bracer if you have it.
Flips over a couple pages on the clipboard. We'll check a couple of things on the page or two and then flip back. We can meet all those demands.
Great. I'm using this voucher that I got for signing up.
Noted. If you just hand it over to me real quickly.
Yep.
And she'll take it from you, and you'll see her do a little bit of mental math, and she'll basically cross off on the bottom of the voucher where the 500 is and write in the new value and hand it back to you. If you just allow us to take your measurements really quick, we will get this armor fitted to match your stature, and you can come pick it up later.
Of course.
And similarly to the other side where Roz was, two assistants will very quickly get all necessary measurements and then tell you to come back in about 3 hours.
Off she goes. She's got a mental checklist of everything she wants to buy.
Yeah, like I said, this is basically like, Artisan's Alley. It's just a long line of tables and tents and tarps and pavilions arranged to house all of these craftsmen and the work that they're doing. Portable forges, barrels that are being rolled in for the various things necessary for treating, dyeing, and the chemicals for various processes. It's hectic. Compared to the rest of the camp, like I said, there's hundreds of people here right now.
I'm imagining a nice contrast of Lilith generally knowing everything she wants and just having to find it, and Roz going from stall to stall figuring out what she wants as she goes.
Before we continue too long with both of you, we'll get back to you in a moment. I'm gonna hop over to Audie.
Hello.
What's Audie doing on this fine morning?
I think she would wake up and try and have kind of a normal morning. And knowing that she'll be, knowing she'll be signing up, she's not quite sure whether she'll be heading off immediately or if it's going to be like later tonight, be like, surprise, I'm back. They haven't assigned us anything. But she's going to act like it's the former. And as she gets ready to go, probably relatively not like super early. Everybody else is probably already up. Quite honestly, this was a very good order, and quite likely the order it would happen in. She would, she'd give a word to all of her siblings, kind of thing. It's like train to be big and strong, and you'll be heroes too. And listen to Ma. Everything will be good. I'll be back before you know it. When I'm back, you can be the one to tell me a story, like things like that. And then she will venture off in search of Lilith and Roz, because she believes that she was given a dare. And she's not going to fulfill the dare without at least some evidence. Like, she knows that if she goes to do it and then comes back with an answer, she might be told, no, we don't believe you, do it again.
Right.
So she's going to go looking for them. If she can't find them too quickly, she might just go over to Covert first.
Fair.
Actually.
Well, it sounds like you might have changed your mind. Do you want to look for them, or do you want to go to covert first?
I think she would probably actually go to covert first. Although, again, if she has to go through the merchant section to get there, she might run into them.
You do
kind
not.
of thing.
No.
Okay, then she's gonna go straight for covert.
Yeah, covert's in the strip of tents right down the middle of the camp. The craftsmen are all on the northern side of the camp.
Oh, okay, so you have to go past covert to get there.
Not necessarily, but it is a more direct route, yeah, versus heading all the way west and heading out and around. But yeah, basically everything kind of passes through the center, which is where a lot of the important places have been set up. But yeah, you make your way towards the center of the camp, where the pickets stop, and up on the small raised wooden platform behind a desk, sitting in a chair, is the crimson cloaked vigilante adjutant Covert, who's there with a big open book in front of him with a bunch of paper scattered about and a quill that he's just kind of writing away with.
Yeah, and if nobody's in front of the desk, she'll march right up with much more confidence than the day before. And wait patiently for him to acknowledge her.
Well, you've come back a lot faster than I expected you to. He puts down his quill, sticks it in the ink pot, closes the book. Here to officially sign up.
Right here I am.
Very well. Well, you saw your friends go through the process, so that'll make it a little easier. And he turns the book open to a page where you can see there's a list of names. And he turns it towards you, takes the charcoal pencil from inside his cloak and hands it to you. Fill in the relevant information, please, and I can give you your voucher. And as I said yesterday, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them.
Yeah, she'll stand there with the charcoal for a minute, kind of staring at the book. Not out of any hesitation, but she's kind of thinking some things over. She says not all just fighting. We need for morale. People that boast the spirits.
Well, I guess it depends on how you want to handle it. You could always go work at the tavern if you have a talent for singing or dancing or music. You could go work at the brothel for a different kind of morale boost. But if you're trying to go with your friends, I mean, you're going to have to do a little bit of fighting. If only just to keep yourself alive.
She kind of gives him a side eye at the comment about the brothel. Like, uh-huh. And crosses her arms a bit and goes, I would like to go with my friends. And I can learn how to fight. Just, well, you saw Roz, she can fight much better than me. While she's sleeping.
Well, I'm sure you have a part to play. Not everyone's strong suit has to do with fighting. As a matter of fact, the most valuable people you can have with you are those that can not always think with the sword first.
Then she'll lean over the book and write down her relevant information, signing her name at the end.
Very good. And he'll pull out the tear book of vouchers, rip one off, and hand it to you.
Yep, and she'll take it. Well, then I suppose I'll be back with the others later.
Yes, I very much suspect as much. If amongst your people you have someone you would consider your leader, I dare say, mercenary planning and roll calls at noon. So just come back here around then. You'll have a chance to meet everyone else. A bunch of colorful characters, all of them.
All right then. See you at noon.
He'll give you a two-fingered salute.
She'll give a kind of a bow curtsy kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
and spin on her heel and head over into the merchant district to see what she'll need.
Okay. You will pass by the somewhat ominous, all black, red trimmed tent of the Ivory Seductress brothel.
Is there anybody out front?
There is not, just a sign that says all
Okay.
visitors welcome.
Okay. Yeah, she'll just kind of stop for a minute, kind of hands on her hips, kind of looks it up and down, and then carries on, kind of just like almost as if she's sizing up the tent, as if it's her enemy.
Yeah, you'll make your way to the Artisan Alley, as I referred to it earlier. And before you meet up with them, I'm going to hop over to Titan, as time has passed, and you would have most certainly finished your conversations and your various partings ways with the remaining survivors of Greenwood.
Well, then Titan is going with Corona to sign up.
Sure. Yeah, and I guess she'll get her paw to come along
Yeah.
if that works, because it sounded like it was good timing.
Basically. So,
Okay.
Paul Wilder, Corona, and Titan, you all will make towards the center of the camp. Having ships passing in the night, just having missed Audie, who was there, and parted ways towards the north. You will see the elf up on the raised platform, currently still on one side of his desk, kind of leaning against it with his arms crossed, sort of looking off into a direction. And as you guys are approaching, he'll turn over and make eye contact with all of you. Well, if it isn't more of the lovely folks from Greenwood.
I'm not the first, am I?
Pretty
Well-
sure you're the last, Doc.
If you're signing up, that would probably put you at number 7.
Titan nods. Let me guess. 3 girls.
One of which you just missed. Miss Corona next to you. Along with Miss Roswin and Miss Lilith. Same for another half-elf gentleman, Mr. Viren. And another human gentleman, already a bit rugged looking, Mr. Jace.
Titan nods. They're all good kids.
Well,
So what's the deal, guy?
All right, well, very simple. I liaise for the Vigilante. I organize the mercenaries here in the camp. I help all the groups to collaborate with one another for the betterment of the people here in the camp and for the ongoing war efforts that are beginning around the continent. I give you 500 silver for signing up and agreeing to collaboratively work with all the other mercenaries in this camp towards the betterment of everyone else's lives here. And as long as you follow that, everything is good. You have a lot of autonomy in how you want to do things. Missions will be spoken of and then delegated to respective groups that are interested in performing them.
So do we, I don't know, pay parts of our winnings to the crew? What's the exchange here?
Perhaps if we were a different kind of person, different kind of group, we would be taken a little bit off of the top, but given the circumstances in which this is all unfolded, spoils you find for yourselves while on missions 100% belong to yourselves. Anything you take and then sell, and the money made from that, you keep for yourself and the people that you have to care for. We're not here to make a profit.
I sign up. I go out. Anything I get can be used to improve my people's lives.
Correct. It is also all done in good faith that if it is believed you find something that would be better in the hands of another group or organization, that you would figure out a way to put it in their hands, but not at your complete loss, and in an exchange.
Titan nods. Almost sounds too good to be true.
He just sort of
But
shrugs.
hey, if that's the deal, then that's the deal.
That is
Let's
the
do
deal.
it.
Very simple process. He pulls the charcoal pencil out of his cloak and holds it up in front of himself. Come up here, sign name in the book, where you come from, any relevant skills that you have, any relevant skills you would like to improve on, and then I give you the voucher to go get your equipment. And then, as I instructed Miss Melody, you all will come back here around noon for the mercenary meetup and roll call to discuss things that the various groups will be doing in the current predicaments that we've been given to solve.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Titan signs his name, lists his relevant talents: doctor, alchemist, blacksmithing, enchanting,
Yeah, just
inventor stuff.
yeah. It takes a little while, but yeah, you finish.
He gets his impressive resume out of the way.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, Corona. You said there's some merchants around, or traders, that I can get stuff with this voucher.
Correct, which he'll tear off from the book and hand to you. Take the voucher. It is worth 500 silver. If you take it all the way to the northern side of the camp where all the craftsmen are, you could trade it there for equal value for whatever the goods cost to make the equipment, and they'll exchange it for you. Anything that you can't find there, you could always go to the Gilden Rose Merchantry. But as I have told Miss Corona and her friends that were here before, they are here to make a profit, not friends. So things are going to be expensive there. Just keep that in mind.
Titan nods. I think I could probably save some money by getting some raw materials. I kind of make my own stuff.
Also a viable choice.
And then he holds out his hand and he's like, sorry, I tend to be abrupt. Titan.
No problem, I deal with all kinds. And he takes your hand and shakes it. Covert. Pleasure to meet you.
Good to meet you, Covert. All right, let's go win us a war, Corona.
All right.
That's the spirit.
Come on, Pa.
Yeah, let's go.
And Titan will go get his equipment. We don't need to play it out.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
he'll be there for noon roll call.
Yeah, eventually, like everyone is up north now. And so eventually you guys will sort of do like, if you've ever been to a flea market where you see someone kind of,
Yeah.
somewhere else. It's like that. You guys are just going to see each other. Everyone's kind of in their own lines, getting their own things. Some of you walking away with armfuls of weapons. That is a chance for any of you, if you'd like an opportunity, to do less shopping, because you've pretty much already all done your shopping as was planned, but to talk amongst yourselves if you'd like. I know Audie certainly has something to say to somebody.
I do?
I don't know, I figured you were going to go talk to Lilith and Roz about your dare.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's right, guys. I'm the full caster. I know how to do things. I remember my role.
Well, I mean, that has nothing to do with the brothel, but go on.
Not yet. Um, yeah, once Audie's done her shopping. Sorry. Once Audie's done her shopping, because she's probably kept tabs on where Lilith and Roz are, she'll meet up with them. Her shopping's fairly minimal. She knows she needs a weapon. She knows she needs some armor. And she probably gets the same spiel that Lilith and Roz did. Hey, we'll size you, we'll measure you, come back later.
Yeah, it's very procedural because you know they've done this for a lot of people.
Where are all these tiny women coming from?
We tried to make these to fit an average person. Not a single average person has come through here.
Except for Roz. And
True,
I guess she's
except
taller.
for Roz.
The scraps from all of your guys' armor goes on to mine.
So she'll march up to them, kind of shoulders back, chin out. Ready for the dare?
Sorry, to dare? Oh, to dare.
Mhm.
I had almost completely forgotten about that.
Because you're now part of it.
No, I distinctly recall something about her having to follow you.
Yeah, I don't think she'll do it. I think she's scared.
I'm not scared of nothing.
And Audie just kind of gives a look like,
I'm not. I'll go in with you. I'll go in ahead of you.
All right, well then let's go talk to the man with the tent.
Fine.
And Audie will link arms with the two of them, because Lilith isn't getting left behind for this one, and marches towards the tent. And if we see Corona and Titan, Audie will probably call out to them as well. I was like, hey, we're going out to brothel to about baths. You want to come?
I don't think Lo would love it so much if she caught me visiting brothels.
I'm planning to show my paw around, so I think I'll pass as well. But you three have fun.
We're just gonna inquire about the bats.
Hi there, and other things.
Sure. Whatever you want to call it.
What the hell are kids up to these days?
I don't rightly know.
Lilith
Well,
is visibly dying inside.
We're on session 5, and I think so far,
experienced such things in Greenwood.
True.
since we're on session 5, and we have so far, I think, just as many euphemisms. The list is growing. We can add baths to the list now.
I'm just gonna check the prices of the baths.
Right. Yeah, so I mean, Titan, Corona, and Paul Wilder are over there in the Craftsman Artisans Alley getting their goods. Meanwhile, Roz, Lilith, and Audie, you will head towards the center of the Artisans Alley and then head south into the cut through the two main camps. You will pass by the large, very opulently arranged, half-solid structure arrangement that is the Gilden Rose Merchantry, with their burgundy and gold-colored banners with the gold rose embroidered onto it. You know, they have these huge overhangs, a partial stone and wood foundation with one back half of it actually an arranged building that looks like it's got closed and locked doors, and then a huge kind of outdoor arrayment of shelves and tables with all various kinds of goods and sundries here, of which at some point I know some of you are going to be stopping here, but that's not where you're going right now. That is where you were passing by. And somewhat by comparison, just beyond it, about a 100-foot difference between the two locations, is the small 10 by 10 black satin red trimmed tent with the signboard out front that is done in elegant script that says, "All visitors welcome," or "Welcome to the Ivory Seductress."
Well, having been called scared, I am going to detach from the other two and march right in with no fear whatsoever.
Okay.
It's like Audie knows Roz or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Is
know
this
how you
no
do
fear
that.
whatsoever or no visible fear whatsoever?
Not smart enough to be afraid until she gets inside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, Roz marches in. You push aside one of the heavy, tent flaps to step inside, and it is initially extremely dark. So dark you can't see anything in front of you. You can't even see your own hand in front of your face. But you do notice a distinct, very kind of pleasant floral smell, something along the lines of like lavender and lilies. And as you look around and you don't see anything, there suddenly comes a very gentle playing of harp music accompanied by a flute. And then your eyes suddenly begin to clarify, and you find yourself standing in a hallway carved from an incredibly dark black stone that is run through with opalescent silver cracks. And in front of you, where there are two curtains to the left and right on the far wall, is a single podium of which stands behind an elf, an elven gentleman, very tall, very slender, long silver hair that's kind of goes down to his mid back. It's in this tight braid, icy blue eyes, a shirt that hugs his frame quite well, but then is open and exposes basically the center part of his chest all the way down to his belly button. He's incredibly, physically fit, and stands there and regards you with a very just gentle, warm smile. Welcome to the Ivory Seductress. What services would you like today?
Sorry, got a little... Right, I wanted to ask... No, hang on. Reach out, grab Audie, and pull and thrust her in front of me because this is her job.
Yeah, Audie, are you there? Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Audie would just pause to make Roz sweat, and then
Mhm.
she would be
And
already
step
like
in.
halfway stepping through. Yeah.
You kind of have the same sort of experience that Roz does, as you're blind temporarily, but then all your other senses pick up things first, and then suddenly you can see. It's kind of like taking one really long step through a dark hallway. So yeah, Roz will sort of reach behind her, not really seeing or knowing you were there, and then pull another person forward. The elf there will turn his cool gaze onto you, Melody. Do you know what you're here for, or is it your first time?
Hi there, sir. It is our first time. But really, we're inquiring about whether there are bats. We know that's not necessarily what this establishment's for, but
Nonsense.
it's been a long road.
Since it is your first time, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Valweir. I am one of the courtesans here. And you will see him reach below the podium and pull out what looks like a long sheet, like 4 inches across, 12 inches long, and we'll just walk out from behind the podium. And he'll just hand it to you, Audie. And on it is just a list of services and costs. And everything seems to have like a basic cost, and then there are multiple tiers that have additional costs. All of which, every service has a premium cost that basically adds companionship to it. Everything is written in a way that it is obvious what it means, but it is done so tastefully. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask.
Well, thank you very kindly.
Of course. Since it is your
And-
first time, would you care to meet the lady of the seductress?
And Audie grin, like she bursts into a grin.
Absolutely. We'd love to meet you, ma'am.
What do you know?
Very good. Will it just be the two of you or the third party member as well?
I was gonna say, and for a minute, Audie kind of like stops and then looks at the list and goes, I guess before I get ahead of myself, there are costs for that. And she looks kind of sheepish, like she's not trying to be cheap, but they did just flee their town, right?
Mhm.
Like,
No. The lady of the seductress enjoys meeting newcomers. And given the environment that we're in, there are quite a few.
Audie won't speak for either Lilith or Roz, but she'll absolutely kind of like step forward, like that she's interested in meeting her.
Well, I'm not gonna let her do it alone. And get in here, you coward! I'm gonna reach out and try to grab Lilith too.
She was like peeking her head.
You get her by the scruff of her shirt.
You're going with me.
So much for that deck save, Will.
I mean, if she wants to actively try to avoid it. It would be a contested grapple check for what it's worth.
Nah, we'll just say she's caught off guard.
Okay. Valwer will step to the right of the podium in turn. He will extend a single very slender hand out to you, Audie. If you would.
I was gonna say he's extending it like to take her hand or to like gesture go forward.
For you to take his.
Then she would immediately.
Okay. His touch is very gentle. And then he return in regard to the three of you. The sensation of moving between rooms and the seductress is a little unusual at first. Don't be alarmed. Just breathe deeply and move easily. And he will swing back the curtain to the right of him, which just beyond is a dark void. And then he will lead you through, Audie.
Mm-hmm.
And I dare assume Roz and Lilith follow.
Mm-hmm.
Lilith is glaring daggers at Ross.
Yeah, stepping through this threshold is unusual in the fact that Valwer's instructions seem very apt in that if you were to try to rush through, you think you'd fall on your face. So like taking it slow and breathing deep, kind of like as you work your way through that one long breath, you kind of easily make your way through, kind of like moving through very thick humidity. And then you arrive now on the other side in a much larger room. It's 50 by 30, composed of the same black stone riven through with the opalescent white. There is a sunken in sitting area, just a huge 20-foot long by 10 feet wide couch that fills this entire rectangular square with a table in the middle that is just lined with fruits and pastries and cheese and cuts of meat and all kinds of breads, and there's a bottle of wine that is currently open and is decanting. Behind that is a bar that runs the length of the wall, of which is currently unoccupied, but behind you can see several shelves of a myriad different types of spirits and liquor and alcohol of different shapes and sizes and colors. And there's two more curtained exits to this room, one to your right about 5 feet in front of you and one on the opposite left-hand corner to the left of the bar. However, sitting in this sunken in, couch, legs pulled up beside her, with a very just extravagantly woven, almost like wine-colored blanket, is this white-skinned, blood-red hair, pointed-eared Forbana woman, clearly of elven heritage. She has striking emerald green eyes, and as Valware brings you all in, you see her immediately look up from what she's reading and smiles at all of you. You've brought in more guests, Valware. Very good. Would you all like to have a seat? I do insist.
Audie will scurry over and give a bit of a curtsy.
Thank you kindly, ma'am.
And I'll take a seat.
Absolutely. Not. I'll just sit right here next to her.
Thank you for your hospitality.
It is my business, after all. Would you any of you like something to drink?
Please, I'm very thirsty.
Yes, I see that. Do you drink this early in the day, or would you prefer water? Valware is a very talented bartender. He can do just about anything you can imagine.
Well, we have to be checking in for roll call at noon, so probably best to stick with the water. At least for myself.
I won't keep you for long, don't worry.
Oh, I just don't know if I'd handle the liquor well.
Ah.
Just water is fine.
Mm. Valware, dear, if you would be so kind. Thank you. And he does a 1/4 bow and steps behind the bar. You'll hear him dip a small scoop into ice, pour them into crystal glasses, pour a pitcher of clear water, and he'll bring it over to the table and set it down and very gracefully put each glass in front of you. And then he goes and, with no prompting, stands behind the bar. So first of all, allow me to say I am so glad to have this chance to meet you all. But also allow me to offer my sincerest condolences for the hardships I'm sure you faced now that you were sitting where you are.
It's certainly been a journey to get here. We appreciate your courtesies. My rude of me. My name is Melody Modi, and this is Roz, and this is Lilith.
Oh, yes, of course. Pardon my manners. I have a habit of, when I know people's names, not introducing myself immediately. You see, it is part of my job, amongst many things, to know people in this camp. And so I was aware of you all before you came through my door. But allow me to introduce myself formally. And she sits up. My name is Rieslin. I am the owner of the Ivory Seductress. I suppose you could assume. She smirks. And I'm assuming Valware told you what we do here.
Yes, we've seen the list.
Very good. Allow me to make it clear, because it is not on the list. And dear sweet Covert doesn't have it in him to mention it, even though it would increase his numbers. For those of which work for Covert and complete missions, for every completed mission, you get a free service here at the Ivory Seductress. It's just my way of helping keep morale high.
Lilith chokes on some of the water she was drinking.
I knew there was a place for morale in the mercenaries.
Well, someone needs to do it, especially with the way the food is and the atmosphere for most people coming here for the first time.
Hear that, Ross? You get a bat every mission.
Mm-hmm.
And Audie is absolutely drawing attention back to Roz just because she knows it makes her more uncomfortable.
Roz is at least as red as Melody's hair.
I am usually one for teasing, but do we need to address the dragon turtle in the room? I do consider myself a very generous host. And I would hate it if my guests felt uncomfortable while they were here. And
I'm not uncomfortable.
Looking at you very pointedly, Roz. I mean, you seem very tense, dear. There are many things we could do to help relax you if you'd like.
It's not my first time. I mean, I'm thirsty. I mean, water, please. I mean, I gotta go. And I get up and I run out of the room.
Back the way you came?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I literally mentioned this earlier. I feel like I would do myself a disservice by not asking for it. I need you to make a dexterity save as you flee and run through the curtain.
I am wholeheartedly expecting Roz to faceplant.
Me too. I've never wanted to roll so badly before in my
life.
Wow.
It's actually a 17.
Oh,
but
wow,
don't worry,
really good.
She's gonna keep running out the main entrance.
Yeah, there's a second.
There are more doors.
Yep.
If there's a save for that one's a 5.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, Roz, you charge out of the room like a bull. You stumble through the first curtain, finding your footing in the entryway in the foyer, and then you run out the other one, which is kind of, there's not even a curtain to see on the way out. It is just running into darkness. And that's probably the most misleading part of it, is that you sort of stumble and you don't know what's going to happen, and then suddenly you're blinded by the overhead sun, and you trip and stumble, and you try to catch yourself, and you end up just kind of doing your hands are out in front of you, but you sort of skid through the rocks and the dirt, and you just cover yourself. You're stricken in mud. Your nose is bleeding, but you're not sure why.
This is a low point. I'm going to stay here for a moment.
Mm-hmm. While you stay there for a moment, what are your two friends doing?
So I think what Roz was trying to say was we weren't looking to have any services today. We were just curious how much getting a private bath would cost.
Well, you have the slip. All the prices are provided there, along with the extra services that are that can be purchased. The important thing for you to know is that we can provide things here that you can't get elsewhere in the camp. Many niceties and luxuries that, unless you are willing to sell your soul to them, cannot be purchased elsewhere. So when it comes to things such as comfort and coziness and companionship, think of me here.
I get the feeling that we'll be here more often than not.
For the sake of clarity, just so the question's asked and there's no assumptions, when you say one free service per mission,
And she kind of holds up the sheet. I'm assuming, was it like a sheet that she could have taken with her, like a pamphlet, or is it like a menu that stays there?
No, it's like a
Okay.
like I say, it's just a one sheet, kind of like, a menu list, more or less.
Yeah, and she'd kind of point along the top at the different columns and be like,
Is it restricted to the first tier, or is it anything on this sheet?
The basic services.
All right,
Extras have to be paid for.
understandable.
and she kind of looks at Lilith.
I need to know what I can tease Roz with. It's important to be prepared.
Although
She nods.
for what it is worth, if you would like to keep this in the back of your minds while you're, going to fight the good fight, I also take payment of forms of information. Any kind of information that you think is valuable. you can always bring it to me, and I can always trade you something I have.
No, Covert did mention that you traded in information.
That I do. A lot of people are very open when they've found themselves in a comfortable place.
Lilith kind of peeks at the sheet to see if information is one of the first tier services.
It is not, no. There's no mention of information anywhere on the sheet, as a matter of fact.
It's like the secret menu.
It is, yes. Now you're getting it. Well, as I said, I won't keep you any longer. You probably should go check on your friend.
If I may inconvenience with one last question, ma'am.
Yes, Melody, dear.
As I said, we're signed up with the Mercs, and I thought there's a service that you might be able to provide that I don't know if I could get elsewhere in town. I mean, I suppose I could. Do you, by chance, know if there's a way to get... And I just forgot the word for it. My goodness. Because I have a dog yowling in my ear. Is there a way to get pregnancy warts? Again, being morale, you never know what kind of morale might be needed.
And she looks very straight-faced and very honest, like she's not embarrassed.
Don't worry, dear. We can take care of you. I can tell you about that as much as you need. Feel free to visit anytime.
And she'll kind of curtsy and be like,
Oh, I'll probably be back later, after I get my gear. Thank you kindly.
Come back anytime now. And you chase after Roz.
Yep.
He probably has a long stare at the dirt, just asking herself what she's doing with her life.
Roz has sat up and has cleaned the mud off of her face. That's about as far as she's gotten.
Mm-hmm. And this Roz wipes the mud from her face, pulling herself up to her feet. We are going to take the break of the evening right now to consider our life choices. And then we'll come back.
choices were made.
Choices were made. Anyway, we'll be right back. See you in 10 minutes. Also, before I immediately hop over, as a habit I should make, during the 10-minute break, I will be running ads, so keep that in mind. Please, thank you. See you in a few. Break time. Back. Hello, everyone. We've returned from our break. I apologize for the slight delay. There were dogs that needed attention. And by dogs, I mean single dog. Although, depending upon who you ask, there might have been more panting than was necessary earlier, but that's, not for us to talk about anymore.
Nothing?
Yeah. So, there we were, outside the somewhat weird extra-dimensional tent of the Ivory Seductress, where Lilith and Melody catch up to Roz, cleaning herself up of some dirt and mud.
You doing all right there, Roz?
I don't want to talk about it.
Didn't think you would.
Nope.
You've got a little, everywhere.
I'm gonna go get my armor.
I asked some questions on your behalf.
Nope. Don't want to hear it.
Do we have time to go pick up our stuff before roll call?
Sure.
Or will it be later?
No, that's fine.
We get to go to first roll call in our spiffy new equipment.
Yep, true. Well, I mean, if you stop if you stop the time to put it on as well. For Lilith, probably not the big deal, but for like Roz, on the other hand, split mail takes several minutes to put on.
Yeah, not to mention having never put it on before.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, up to you. I'll lay it out real simple. You guys can go get all your equipment. If you want to all put it on, you all will probably be about 10 minutes later, so to the roll call at noon.
Can't be late to our first
No.
roll call.
Not gonna
No.
be late.
We'll carry it.
Okay.
See, they're responsible.
Yeah, Titan. You hear that? They're responsible.
I'll believe it when Titan actually gets to see it.
Okay. Well, you all get your belongings. It takes you a couple of minutes to get all your things gathered as you run up and down Artisan Alley. Stuffing things in the packs, probably realizing you spent it all, but you have a lot of stuff. At least some of you. So like, you're a little overburdened carrying the entire bundle of stuff you got. But over the course of, the 15-20 minutes of doing that, run around to get your belongings, you would see and hear a little bit of a buzz coming from the mercenary camp as you see groups of mercenaries with respective colors getting together and then passing through the respective camp towards heading towards the center. Where towards the tail end of you guys getting your belongings, you're going to be able to meet up pretty much on time. You start to see banners go up, signifying those who have arrived. And you get your stuff, and you sling bags over shoulders. You tuck weapons under arms. You juggle many projectiles, respectively, amongst a whole lot of you. Because I did make note of all the projectiles several of you ended up buying. But eventually, you will make your way back towards the center of the camp, down that center lane, past beyond the foreboding, the imposing tent of the Ivory Seductress, and beyond it, where Covert's stand is erected, you will see a small gathering of about 50 or so people arranged in a large square around Covert's stand, of which they have banners planted into the ground, and there are people of the representative groups gathered. Not all of them have shown up, in force. For instance, there is a single banner planted with the dark gray background and the very plain, much more round skull for the League of Phantoms, which is a single representative, versus the White Cross Company, which has a standard bearer, along with about 20 of them, of which you can tell they are organized, standing shoulder to shoulder, and then they have ranking officers at the front representing them. And you can kind of very easily see the contrast of styles amongst all those gathered here. And you all sort of arrive on the outskirts of where these individuals have gathered. Again, it's a bit of a thick of people. And you will notice as you get closer, a familiar face who will kind of just wave you all over to his position, which is Jace, former mercenary and Greenwood villager, who has arrived wearing a set of splint mail, and he's got a halberd on his back. He'll flag you all down. You're just in time. You have plenty of time to put all that stuff on while all the talking gets done.
Oh, good.
Anyone here want to be a spokesperson for Greenwood if they talk to us directly? I don't mind doing it if no one wants to speak up.
I need to redeem myself for reasons I cannot say right here.
Yeah, Roz,
I am volunteering.
you have like a, I don't know, like a leaf or something behind your ear.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Otherwise, make yourselves comfortable. You don't have to put on any kind of pomp or show or circumstance. You know, we're not trained soldiers like the White Cross guys, and we're not seasoned warriors like the tyrants. So just do what's comfortable. No one's going to judge you.
Yeah, of course. I got it. After what I've seen today, I'm afraid of actually nothing.
Do you want help with your armor?
Yes, please.
You begin helping Roz put her armor on. Jace will offer a hand as well, given that he's wearing a similar set himself and has experience. So it will speed up the process by half. And after a couple of minutes, and you see all the respective mercenary groups kind of gather again. When you originally got there was about 50 in total, plus adding your 5 or so. By the time it's all said and done, there's about 75 of you. You can tell there are quite a few unaffiliated mercenaries that come from your guys' camp versus the more organized ones that have arrived under a banner. And then after about that time passes, there is a very sharp, clear bell chime that you hear kind of announce itself in the center from where Covert's platform is, of where Covert stands. And everybody kind of quiets down. All right, everybody. Welcome to day 39. This is an opportunity for you to report on your missions, anything specific that you think would be relevant to the gathered numbers amongst us, enemy intelligence, things of that nature. Everything else you can keep to yourself as long as you don't think it matters. And there's a quiet moment where, you kind of just see everyone look to one another to be the person who's gonna, if there's anyone to step up or have anything that they need to report. And pretty promptly, like only a couple heartbeats go by, when one of the members of the White Cross Company step up. Human, female, short cropped hair, much longer on the top, has a helmet tucked underneath one arm, has a bandolier of a bunch of unusual looking things. You can't really identify what they are. They're a bunch of gadgets of various types, and a huge crossbow slung onto her back, which you think, according to the look of the make of the armor, looks like she has a brace to help carry the weight. Covert will turn his attention. Lieutenant Racker, please tell me what you've learned. The White Cross Company has engaged in several skirmishes with the Automaton Menace in the north, following along the the Titanhorn Mountain Range, in various villages and towns across the main merchantry path. We have identified at least 4 different types of units, 2 of which have been reported on, the reconnaissance drones, and their night units. We have likewise identified 2 other new units. Aerial versions were being referred to as Thopters, and a 4th one, an artillery unit, referred to as ants, due to their insectoid-like nature, and the cannons mounted to the backsides of their body that look like thoraxes. We have written up reports, and we'll have them passed around to the respective groups so you can continue reading the rest of the report. That is all White Cross Company has to report on now. Thank you, Lieutenant Racker. Anybody else? Anything to report on? Anything to say? Again, another passing around of looks. After there is about 10 seconds that pass with no one else saying anything, Covert stands back up from leaning on the desk. All right, good. As you can see, we've had several new recruits show up in the last couple of days. Several of them require expanded training. I know a couple of you have put forth volunteers for training representatives. If you can make yourself known after the meeting is finished, so that way you can find those who are interested in receiving your tutelage, it'd be much appreciated. Otherwise, the new missions that we've received for the next span of the week are as follows. And he pulls open a belt pouch, reaches in for a component that you see him kind of smear between his fingers, and then he undoes it, and it sort of looks like a piece of chewing gum that's been stuck to 3 points of his fingers. And he writes runes with those 3 fingers in the air, and he just kind of wipes his hand through it, and it creates this illusory projection of a map of the surrounding, the larger part of the surrounding side of this continent, all the way up to the northern coast, down to the southern coast where the camp is located. And you can tell there's a bunch of like highlighted areas, names over topography, and a bunch of various flags, and a color grid of red and blue, where red is largely predominantly on the northern side, and it looks like it's slowly encroaching towards the south, and the south is blue, where there's a very firm line cut off along the Republic of Belwind, and just along the border of the Emerald Boughs. For those of you that are interested, we currently have one A-rank mission, which is suited to only 2 of you. So White Cross Company, Tyrants, discuss amongst yourselves if you'd be interested in taking it. We have several C, D, and E rank missions as well. Feel free to take a look at the list here. If you have questions, I will explain them. Otherwise, these are the current movements. We're currently acting in interest of rescue and reconnaissance for the sake of the Saphinus Intelligence Division. We've been deploying several small groups to the northern side of the Emerald Boughs, following along the Merchantry's path, trying to identify which of the towns have fallen, and if any of the peoples there have escaped, and those that may be in need of help. We've received advanced news from the Strider Division of Saphinus that most of the towns within a week's travel from Titan's Horn have been completely sacked and taken over, but they don't seem to be burning villages to the ground. They seem to be gathering resources, and reports have saying they've taken several prisoners. So going forward, we're looking for places where they are taking and moving the prisoners to, along with opportunities to perhaps save those individuals if they're being moved between locations. For those of you that are new here, if you have any questions, you have an opportunity to ask them now, or you can feel free to approach me after we're done here. So, first of all, any questions?
Anybody?
Audie shakes her head.
Titan shakes his head.
Yep. Similarly for Chrono.
We're good for now.
Heard Greenwood. Any others? No? All right. You know how to sign up for your missions. There's a list on my desk. Come speak to me when you have interest. As I said, White Cross, Tyrants, get back to me when you've decided amongst your various pissing contests who gets the A-rank mission, and let me know. All right, everyone, dismissed. Thank you for meeting. See you tomorrow. And you see the groups kind of sit and chatter for a little bit. A couple of them sort of intermingle. Covert hops down and sort of moves his way between a handful of groups. He starts with the unaffiliated first, so it isn't long, only a couple of minutes before he ends up close to where you all are situated. Greenwood, how are you all doing? Any questions you
Eager.
have for me?
I just really quickly to confirm,
Mm-hmm.
I heard about missions ranked A through E. Am I given to understand that the E ranked missions would be a
Simple.
bit more our speed?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yes. Yes, E rank missions are the lowest you can do. They're classified up to S, which are... Honestly, the joke has always been S rank missions, it's S for suicide. We very rarely get them, and they are very rarely ever given out to nobodies. Mostly because we also respect their life too much to just do that. If you all are interested in signing up for a mission, as soon as I finish my rounds here, I can show you what's available for you all. And we can get you arranged to depart tomorrow. Or as early as later this evening if you're interested in going at night.
How eager are we?
Well, I got a question. You mentioned that there'd be people that are willing to train.
Yes, Miss Corona. As a matter of fact, there are representatives from at least half of the groups that were just here that offer training in all forms, depending upon what you're interested in or the style they offer.
And it's all right if I just walk up to him and ask?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, and he turns, and again, like I said, the groups have been slowly dispersing. And on the opposite side of his wooden platform where his desk is, there are about 4 individuals that are lingering.
Okay.
And he'll just sort of point over his shoulder at them. Yeah, those guys there. We've had an influx of, new signups lately, including yourselves. And so these are the individuals that have offered their opportunities to train those who want to learn.
Maybe we should start out with some training first, and they can tell us what kind of level we're on.
Become a proper group.
Yeah, that makes sense, I suppose.
Oh, I had one thing to mention that didn't really seem like a good time to bring it up during the whole meeting. We had a couple Chelseaer in our village when we were attacked.
Right.
I'm not sure if you know just how powerful these machines are, but I'm pretty sure one of them summoned a dragon, and it immediately got blasted out of the sky.
That is news, at least on our side of things. He takes out a notepad from one of his belt pouches and scratches it down. All right. Do you think you can roughly estimate the size of the dragon?
It was quite a distance away, but she'll give her best estimate about
History
what
check.
she saw. Oh, she's good at these. I rolled a 19 again, so that's a 20 something.
Yeah, really big. Yeah. You can give, again, with your big brain, a pretty good estimate as to what the size of the dragon was if you were up closer to it. To which you see him identify a rank of dragon, and he scritches it down. All right, good to know. This certainly helps provide a little bit more context as to what they're capable of. Oh, yes, by the way, welcome to your first meeting. And he reaches into his cloak. He reaches into his cloak. He reaches into his cloak a lot, and there's nothing you could clearly see. It's just a cloak, but he pulls things out of it all the time. To which he pulls out a small, stapled together set of papers. Just it's like 50 pages deep, and just kind of holds it out for one of you to take. This is the current mercenary report going around, intelligence of what we've gathered, information about what we know, who we're actually fighting in the war, so on and so forth.
Thank you.
Mhm.
We'll take it.
All right. Anything else Greenwood needs from me?
I think we're good for now. Thank you. All
right.
We'll get our mission signed up soon.
Yeah, I'll see you all later. I guess, do you know where to find me? By the way, looking good. The armor really suits you all. And he turns and just kind of strides away to the next group. You see a similar spiel done.
Titan just pulls uncomfortably at his armor, frowning slightly.
I need to put some of this away. There's way too much.
All right. Well, we get all of our extra stuff put away and go find someone to train with. How about that?
Maybe talk to them first. I mean, they're right there, right? It's those 4?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go.
Lilith shoves Roz back. Like, shoves her back to move. You go first.
Fine. Well, I'm just going to march right up to these people.
Mm-hmm.
Oi! You're the people that we're supposed to talk to if we need training, right?
Well, aren't you full of energy? Yeah, we're the trainers. Do you and your group have any preferences? Disciplines, weapon choices, things of that nature?
Firearms.
Hand to hand.
Bows and light weapons.
Honestly, Audie looks a little lost. She's just like, I don't know. And she's kind of like shook sheepishly, like, morale? Maybe a rapier? I was a bit of a dancer before this.
You see the trainers kind of look amongst themselves, of which here you can immediately identify 2. One, because of the White Cross Company tabard that they wear, which all the White Cross Company mercenaries wear. And the other one, which is garbed in this slate gray, almost black, very angular, kind of stabby in various points, half-plate armor, that has the emblazoned, fanged skull on the chest piece for Tatiana's tyrants. The other 2 are a little bit more low-key in that they're a little less obvious, but they would have armbands, of which represent Chapter and Fire and League of Phantoms. And you just sort of, a lot of them look towards the White Cross Company representative, who is this forest elf, dressed very plainly, set of short swords kind of in horizontal sheaths on the small of her back. You see a lot of them look at her. Well, yeah, all right, you folks, unless you have a particular preference or strong opinion of it, it looks like most of them are going to offer that I take you all, since some of you seem a little uncertain, the rest of you are asking for relatively basic things that we can all give you back at the White Cross Company encampment. So unless any of you have any complaints, you can go join me there.
No complaints from me.
All right. Sounds like we'll join you there.
Always happy to learn from the best.
Mm-hmm. All right. My name's Captain Silver. You head towards the eastern side of the camp. Just head towards the biggest encampment. We're pretty hard to miss. Just look for any of the banners. A private will probably greet you and take you to the training area. Understood?
Heard.
All right.
Understood.
We'll see you there. And as you guys depart, either to drop off the remainder of your gear or go straight to the camp, you will hear two of the other trainers kind of laugh very pointedly at you as you leave.
Crota's gonna look back. And she's not gonna say anything, maybe leer a little bit.
Mhm.
But she'll make a mental note of who they are, what they look like.
It was one of the tyrants and the member from the chapter of fire.
Okay.
Specifically, the tyrant's representative looks to be Forbana, human, yellow-green skin, short horns that have been sort of cut off and then shaved down. And the member from the chapter of fire is an individual who is wearing their face is hooded. If you want to get like details on them, you can give me a perception check.
Sure. Not great. 7.
Other than the fact that they have a large stature, which you think would help you identify them later, you don't really see anything else. Their complexion is bronzy. Other than that, their stature, you can't really tell like if there's a more specific feminine or masculine quality to them. They're quite large. They're only a couple of inches shorter than Titan.
Gotcha. I've written that down.
Mm-hmm.
We now have something to prove.
Okay, so
Titan,
what's the
despite his nature, decides it's not worth fighting them.
Yeah, fair. What is the order of operations here?
Drop off gear, go to the White Cross camp.
Yep, same.
One big group.
Okay. You head back to the Greenwood camp, go to your respective tents, leave your burdens with your family members to sort and stow, and cross back to the eastern side of the camp towards the mercenaries, where now that you're walking through, even though some of them are a little less organized than others, it is a well-organized, well-maintained camp, each of which is separated by the same pickets that separate the camp down the middle, kind of segmenting off various groups. Certain camps are completely quiet, such by when you pass by the very small area segmented out for the League of Phantoms, there is literally one tent that you think fits about 4 people, and there's nothing going on there. Nobody. Versus when you walk by the encampment for Tatiana's Tyrants, there are two of the members there that are sparring, and you finally realize, like, you were hearing noises from a distance that you just assumed was probably coming from like Artisan's Alley, but when you actually get this close, you realize it's the clashing of their weapons of the people training here. Now that you're this close, each impact of the weapon is like a crack of thunder. So much so that when you pass by the tent and you're actually within like 60 or 70 feet of where their training grounds are, you can quite literally feel the pressure of their fight. They battle beyond what any of you have considered to be reasonable or even normal. They fight beyond a level that seems like what a normal merc or even what the Shalseer of your that visited your village could do. There is notably a woman there overseeing the two fighting, who's sitting on like this broad rectangular wooden crate. She's got a leg pulled up next to her, this absolutely fearsome, lion-looking woman with this huge mane of dark, amber-colored hair, ears that are quite pointed but currently drawn off to their sides. She's wearing just greaves in her armor from her waist down, and has this enormous greatsword that's sort of resting on the crate next to her, and she's currently overseeing the fight with this just a look of what looks like just fierce enjoyment. She makes eye contact with you as you pass by, and she gives you a grin that seems almost feral. To pass by, you see the other groups. You see the Chapter of Fire's camp, which is a little less neat and orderly than others, but is unusual in the fact that standing outside where their picket is this just fire elemental. This bright, glowing, living flame that looks like there's just sort of a fire that was been set there, but then when you get close to it, it animates and moves, and you watch as it sort of takes onto a mildly humanoid shape, and it just watches with its amorphous head as you all pass by. Opposite them is another camp, represented by the banner of the Immortal Bastion, of which it is quiet, but they have this large central tent with both of the doors, both of the flaps pulled back, and you can see inside there are rows of benches, of which are currently occupied by about just over a dozen people. And there's a woman at the front who seems to be speaking to the group, like a congregation. And then at the very end of the road, with the largest segment of the camp, where the two banners fly, black field, silver trim, white cross, is the White Cross Company, of which there are two members outside standing sentry, both of which salute when you arrive. And then one will turn and make eye contact with you. New trainees for the captain?
That's right.
All right, very good. If you follow the main path through the camp, and then head to your left, you'll find the open training field. You're not the first to arrive, so just be polite, don't get into each other's way, and wait until you're spoken to by a sergeant or a higher rank.
Would now be the time for questions, or are we starting the speak when spoken to now?
I mean, I can certainly try to answer any questions you have, but someone of a higher rank might be better informed to answer your questions. Sir.
Oh, just curious. I've been catching a vibe. Doesn't seem like most of the mercs are too happy about having new recruits coming in. At the very least, they seem contemptuous. A lot of new recruits dying.
You see him acknowledge what you say. Not necessarily, no. It's more of the fact that a lot of the people that are volunteering to go do the fighting are inexperienced, first-timers, and people like that tend to make the most mistakes, and so if you end up working alongside one of those, they consider you a liability more than help, because a lot of people are getting up in arms, you know, given the war is happening, and they feel like they have a personal stake they need to do something about. And it has unfortunately resulted in a couple of deaths on both sides of, you know, newcomers such as yourselves and a handful of those here. But if you shouldn't find any hostility here in White Cross. If you do, you know, feel free to report it to a higher up if you feel like it's going to hinder your time here. Otherwise, people here are just trying to make sure that you get the, you know, training you need so you don't end up like everyone else that's been buried to the south.
Height nods. Right. Respect is earned. Got it.
He nods. Alright, so that's down the main path to the left.
Right. Thank you, sir. We'll be heading right in.
And he immediately kind of falls back into his post. And the White Cross Company encampment is tidy, clean, organized. The rows of tents look exactly evenly spaced apart. To even try to attack the White Cross Company encampment would be like sieging a fortress unto itself with how they've arranged it. They've dug trenches, they've raised themselves in positions, they've created earthen walls between certain parts of their camp. It would be hell trying to attack them, and you could tell that they take this seriously. You arrive, not too long after, to the training grounds of the White Cross Company. A large open area, about 300 feet long, 100 feet across. And currently there are about 50 or 60 people here, about 2/3 of which are clearly more to your association than White Crosses. White Crosses are denoted by their tabards. And you can see there are people being led through drills, there are people being led through one-on-one spars, handfuls of people that are kind of just sitting down on benches, somebody from White Cross speaking to them, somebody, sort of gesticulating with a sword, talking about sort of parts of it, clearly identifying parts of its anatomy. And you can see that there's a small group of individuals off to the side that are kind of, waiting their turn, so to speak.
Looks like we're supposed to wait around over there.
Probably a discipline thing or something.
It's more likely that they just have more trainees than trainers.
Either way, best to make a good impression, right? We might end up working with some of these people.
Peyton just shrugs. I don't really care what they think of me, but if it's important to you, I'll stand at attention.
Right, well, hurry up and wait.
You kind of, make your way over to where the other people are waiting. You all stand respectfully. Eventually, you just see another member of White Cross come up, a sergeant that kind of speaks to the initial group that was there before you, and you see them, they follow the sergeant away. But it's less than 30 seconds when another individual approaches you. A Doreen, whose skin is icy blue that sort of tapers around the sharper edges of their anatomy to like dark blue or white. Their face is not withdrawn, but calm. And they kind of just regard all of you silently, slowly. Hello, everyone. Yeah, I'm assuming you've all come here like many others for training, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. Let me say something first about White Cross Company. Discipline is utmost here. Genuinely, you don't have to show respect to us, but it is advised that you at least treat this place like it's your own while you're using it. We will make sure you have all the tools necessary to survive and ideally succeed when you get sent out into the field. Am I heard?
Sir,
Heard,
yes,
sir.
sir.
Very good. You can call me Bandit. I will be your trainer for today. If any or all of you would like to make me a history check, you may.
Always.
Of course.
Sure.
40?
21.
Oh, Lilith.
She's got a plus
Oh,
8.
wow.
Modified 20.
Yep, nat 20. Yep.
Nat 1, Titans.
Mhm.
Just getting frustrated by all the discipline and the mocking and the. He's just had enough.
Yep. All right. Well, for those of you that roll 20 and up, especially Lilith, because you made an earlier check that informed you a bit about Whitecross and that you've read about them and heard about them. That in Whitecross Company they all have nicknames, generally speaking, based off of either their time training to become official members or something that they've done to earn them the title. There is an infamous individual amongst Whitecross Company called Bandit. In that it comes from his Rhenish name, Bandit of Life, which is what he earned during his coming of age, and that is because Bandit is, as the Whitecross Company refers to, they have two leaders, a left commander and a right commander. He is their right commander. He is the highest rank tied with his counterpart in the company, and he is known for being a medic. And his nickname, Bandit of Life, comes from the fact that he doesn't take lives of others, he takes them from death. He is known to have saved thousands of lives in his career so far. So Bandit will lead you along to a section of the training ground that is clear. He will gesture to a bench. For those of you that would like to have a seat, you may. We have to start off by me asking, of you here, do any of you have any practical combat experience?
Titan raises his hand.
Used to serve in militia for Greenwood, sir.
Militia training counts?
Lilith will raise her hand.
Roz will too.
Artie will stand there awkwardly.
Nah, that's all right. Have any of you taken the life of another living mortal?
And that hand goes down.
No, sir.
Titan's hand stays up.
Okay. All right. First of all, as I've already introduced myself, just tell me how you'd like to be referred by.
Lilith.
Titan.
Verona.
Rose one.
Artie, sir.
All right. Titan, given your general experience, and I'm sure you already know this, given that you've come here with these folks, I'm going to ask you to help be responsible for making sure these people are ready, that they don't have to rely on you if they go out to keep them alive. Is that a reasonable ask of me?
Absolutely.
Good. All right. So most of you have militia training. One of you who has experienced live combat. What we're going to be doing here today is making sure that you understand the basics of what a fight is going to be like. Understanding that regardless of what your foe is, hesitation is the thing that can often lead to your life being taken from you. And that taking someone else's life is not always the correct answer. However, given that most of our enemies so far have been automatons, we could ignore the last one for now. So, you've had militia training. I see several of you have come here equipped in armor and brandishing several different types of weapons. Do any of you need practical instruction with the basics of your weapons, or are you comfortable with them?
I do, sir. I've never used a firearm.
And Audie will kind of raise her hand, not really certain that she's ever known how to fight with him. Like, she's like, yeah, me.
All right. Then what we're going to be doing is simple. I'm going to call over one of my lieutenants. And you see him turn over, look over his shoulder, and wave a hand. And you see another white tabard mercenary come over, of which looks familiar. It's the lieutenant that gave the report back at the mercenary, roll call. Lieutenant Racker. Racker, if you'd be so kind to take Corona here and teach her the basics of firearms and readying firearms and fighting with firearms, that'd be great. Racker just nods. All right, kid, follow me.
Heard.
For those of you that need basic instruction on weapons training, bladed weapons, single-handed weapons, I can handle most. If you want someone with an expertise in two-handed weaponry, I could call someone else over to help tend with that.
Two-handed weaponry, you say?
I do.
Sign me up.
All right. Looks over his shoulder, finds someone, just, again, hand wave. And this person's, like, a little further away than where Racker was. Like, not even in the training area, but they're sort of coming along the promenade. And then they notice, oh, okay. And they jog up. Human, olive-colored skin, kind of shoulder-length hair that's just braided very tightly in multiple braids. And this woman just has this gigantic single-bladed axe on her back. Oh, Riot, if you'd be so kind as to take her, give her a few lessons and exchanges with the heavy weapons. Start with the basics. Yeah, no problem. Come along. Hope you don't mind getting bruised.
Not at all.
All right. For those of you remaining, we're going to start with basics. So you can get familiar with weapons, defending yourself, vital points, best ways to disable your targets. For those of you that did militia training, you'll find a lot of this very similar. If you didn't, that's all right. We could start from bare bones and make sure you're ready. Titan, right? These are your folks. Do you think there's any place that's best to start?
He looks them over. I don't know. Does Titan feel there's a best place to start, guys?
Audie looks so wide-eyed, it's almost unfortunate. She's just looking at you like, what do we do? What do we do?
Well, Audie's certainly a circumstance that I could probably talk to you about outside of game. Because I lean towards that Titan was already suspicious. Audie has an aptitude for magic, but we've never discussed it, so I'm not going to force that on you at this time. But yeah, Titan's just gonna recommend that, because I've got Lilith, Audie, and myself. That's all that's left, right?
Yeah.
Then for the sake of it, he'll just be like, I think we best start with close quarters. I think that's the weakest point of these two.
As in saying, for the record, you absolutely could call out Audie. I would not be disappointed.
Well, I think it's a discussion he's going to have with a trainer on the side. But yeah, like I said, I just didn't want to be like, oh yeah, Titan knows Audie can use magic.
All right.
I know it's kind of a secret, so I was like, I'm not gonna push that. I didn't want to spring it on you in the middle of the game. Be like, yeah, Titan knows. But, you know, just given his proclivities for understanding magic, and there's just hints, anyways. Anyway, we'll keep going.
Yeah. Okay. Bandit will nod in acknowledgement. All right. Well, let's keep this simple. First, we're going to start with some basic stances, so that way you can understand your range of your weapon, and the best way to defend yourself when pressed by an attacker. And all of you are going to, start what is essentially a small training montage, of which will probably last the better part of the day.
Strong now.
Yeah, basically. And you will find the White Cross Company trainers attentive, and not harsh, but persistent. They make small corrections to stances. They punish openings. And as mentioned by Roz's trainer, Riot, you get bruised for every mistake you make. And they make sure they know that you've made a mistake, and then they tell you why you made the mistake, and they show you kind of step by step what was done incorrectly and how to correct it. Bandit is, for at least Lilith and Audie, again, very attentive. Because of your background, Lilith, your uptake is a little bit faster, not only because of your awakening, but because you quite literally have a little bit of, muscle memory from your mother's training, that while you couldn't put it to action before, it is much easier to do so now. So the general idea that he was instructing on, it begins to very quickly fall into place.
Oh boy, years of drills just like this.
Yep. Except the difference between your mother and Bandit is that Bandit is, by comparison, a much more gentle instructor. If anything, he's more gentle than the other instructors that got sent away with Corona and Roz. And Audie, while you are not as quick on the uptake as Lilith, after a couple of hours, you do find yourself pretty surprised, in that it starts to come together. You're not as nearly as refined as Lilith is with her weapons handling, but you realize, and you're not sure when, but it's there somewhere. And you don't know if it's something that Bandit can see, but he kind of coaxes it out of you. And like I said, unlike the other trainers, he doesn't bully you to do it. He kind of guides you slowly. And then highlights the spots where you've left an opening. He very pointedly, with the same weapon that you're training with, a rapier, will kind of press it into the spot and then stop and then explain and talk about the different ranges of defense that rapier fighters are often using, how to create these circles around yourself and the movement, and how that's important to keep yourself safe. I think when Bandit's instruction finishes with Audie and Lilith, he trains with you, Titan. Given that you are more experienced, he doesn't ask what you need to learn. He basically just asks you for a fight.
Got it.
Of which he tells you that he likewise specializes in unarmed combat. And that he's found weapons to be too burdensome and in the way when it comes to trying to do his job.
I mean, this guy is basically just Titan's hero, Like, icy guy, amazing healer, hand-to-hand combatant, sees weapons as burdensome. Like, talk about goals, guys. Like,
yeah, and
everything Titan wishes he was.
I mean, and Titan finds out, even though Titan has history and experience, Bandit is an insurmountable wall right now.
Mm-hmm.
You could just see it in that there was never an opportunity for you to ever gain ground on him, and in the openings you thought you found, he left for you to see.
Right.
But again, he's an incredibly humble winner in that he stops and he explains, to which a lot of it you knew, but then there are parts where you can sort of respect, and that there are times when you used to be a pit fighter, if you could have someone analyze the fight that was doing the fighting against you, you could have learned something. But of course, who in pit fighting is going to be like, yeah, so this was my opening, this is how you could have exploited? No one's going to do that.
Yeah, no one's going to do that. But no, yeah, Titan very much loves receiving this lesson.
Yeah, like I said, and Bandit is what I would refer to. Again, he's an incredibly gentle coach. But there's so much clear experience and tenacity that he has that it's not just because he's soft that he teaches like this. It's because it's just experience, and he knows it's what people need in order for them to be able to apply it. Unlike Roz, with Sergeant Riot, who similarly takes you through the motions, but again, every mistake you make, you end up in the dirt.
And every single time Roz goes back into the dirt, she spits out blood or thick saliva or dirt, whatever is in her mouth, gets back
A little
up,
bit of both.
and gets hit again.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing if not stubborn.
Of which, partway through the day, we get a wider skin thrown at you as the compliment you receive. You might not have much talent for the axe yet, but man, you are a stubborn boar. Keep it up.
I will. I'm gonna lie down when I get back to my tent, though.
Don't worry, we don't send all the trainees off bruised after the fact. We bruise you during, but Bandit takes care of people on the way out. Couldn't send you on a mission if you were hurting that much.
Well, whatever, it's fine. If I'm getting fixed up, you can just hit me harder. Please don't hit me harder.
She raises the axe in one hand and smirks beside the blade. She's gonna hurt you again, yeah.
I like you a lot. I don't know why.
You're not the first person to have said that.
Well, hit me again, I guess.
On your feet. And Corona, Racker trains you in firearms. Lieutenant Racker is extremely well learned, very mechanically minded, explains to you how the firearm flintlock works, also talks crap about it a lot because it's very outdated and old and prone to a lot of problems between it jamming or misfiring, wet powder stopping it from functioning, how the projectiles are very archaic and simple, but tells you all the ins and outs, explains the pitfalls, but then also how to fix them should you come across the most efficient ways to dry black powder if it gets wet without making it explode. And then we'll instruct you on shooting, which comes with a lot of the understanding of the kick of the weapon, best practices for in combat. I noticed in your character sheet you bought a backup pistol.
I did, yeah.
Does Corona have it on her?
It'd be in her backpack, which she'd have, just not 140 whatever pounds of stuff.
Yeah. Because Lieutenant Racker makes comment about that, which goes, well, a lot of the times I rely mostly on Betsy here, and she gestures to the big, heavy, basically arbalist on her back. But then I also have one of these, and, pushes the tabard aside, and she's got a sidearm on her hip, and then also one of these, and goes down to her boot where she has a boot holster as well. Sometimes the best practice is to draw it, use it to devastating effect when they don't expect it, discard it, and ready yourself with something else. Which is why it's also good to have other weapons on hand, daggers, short swords, really whatever your preference is. Just something you can easily pull out to use when they think you're disarmed finally.
Gotcha. Yeah, unfortunately, I thought maybe I could buy the backup gun in case this one fails, but might have to invest in something a little bit more normal for close quarters.
It is advised. That being said, you're a bit of a natural. You've picked this up pretty quickly. Not many people are particularly fond or adept with firearms, so this is a good start for you. I have to tell you, whenever you finally get enough money, either commission someone to make something for you or just buy something better. I know this is what you could get, but this might get you killed in the long run. That's all I'm saying.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm not liking how this is balanced. It's real heavy at the end. But it is what it is. I have to make do for now.
Well, if you get anything new and you need to learn how to use it, just come find me again. I'll teach you. Honestly, I would even offer to make you something, but I'm just so damn busy nowadays. I don't have the time. I'm too busy maintaining all of our camp's equipment.
I getcha. But if I do run into something, I'll let you know.
Yeah. Better yet, if you find parts, if you're looking for an expert in big weapons that go boom, that's me.
Really now? All right.
Yeah, this Betsy here on my back, custom made by me. Same for all the, and she'll gesture at the bandolier of very interesting gadgets across her chest. All my own make.
Do any of them look like they might have been made from automaton parts?
It's funny you say that. One of them does.
Okay. You made that one from those things attacking, those automatons?
Yeah. I mean, they're practically throwing spare parts at me. I might as well make use of them. Their shells are good components in their cores if I can get them still intact. Really useful. You tweak them right, they can explode.
All right. Keep it in mind.
Yeah, like I said, you ever get any questions or any parts, you want something done with them, come find me. Otherwise, you're doing good. Just got to practice your aim for a little bit. Which really, I would probably recommend perhaps at least practicing the aiming bit, probably with a hand crossbow, so you don't have to waste the powder or ammunition.
Right. Okay. Still got some money left over. I'll invest in it.
No, I mean, if you just need it for training, you just come by here, use one of ours.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. But you're doing good. Let's do some close quarters drills. See how you react when someone gets near you and you're not ready to deal with them. How about that?
Heard.
All right.
Go put away the firearms.
And yeah, Lieutenant Racker will run you through a couple of what-if scenarios and prepare you to deal with scenarios like if you're attacking an opponent at range and suddenly you're ambushed by someone that you didn't anticipate, how do you react? And Racker goes through a few of those. And, Racker is somewhere between Bandit and Riot in terms of their training methods, in which case Racker will put you in the dirt, but then will offer you the hand to get back up. Is not nearly as much of a sadist as Riot is. But you get the idea. You get the ebb and the flow. And while, not everyone's pace might be White Cross companies in terms of their discipline, they definitely have the experience and the know-how. There's really something to be said about that. Over the course of the duration of everyone's training, you guys break partway through the day for lunch, provided by White Cross Company, and it is not the gruel served to the widespread part of the camp. It is, in fact, bread and cheese and fruits.
Nice.
And then you are immediately taken back to training. And over the course of the day, there's while you're there, about 50 or so, non-affiliated mercenaries that receive similar training. Not everyone is as fortunate to receive certain aptitudes versus others, take to it well. There are a couple of naturals amongst the groups that show up. Is there anything during your long day of training that anyone specific would like to do, or a conversation you'd like to have? A highlight you think you had, perhaps? Or an epiphany?
Well, if Kay is all right with it, Titan would share his suspicion that Audie might have an aptitude for magic with one of the trainers, and that might be a good thing to see if they can draw out of her. But it's all pending your approval, Kay.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, a Titan can share whatever suspicions he wants. The trainers would have to have that conversation with Audie, I guess.
Yeah, I don't want to step on toes, but Titan will absolutely share that. Because he wouldn't want Audie coming into this underprepared.
Fair. Well, luckily you guys ended up paired with Bandit. And over the course of the day, Bandit does pop away very quickly just to go over and treat a training wound that perhaps went a little too far, and then comes back. And he does multiple processes, of which practical medicine, of which Titan you can see and appreciate, but then also for those, again, that perhaps went a step too far, healing magic, which doesn't seem to wear on him at all. And so when you bring this up, he sort of sits there and he nods, and you kind of watch the shade of his skin, the darker blues with the edges and whites kind of shift to something going towards a bit like yellow green, kind of like the sort of the surrounding grass in the environment. He just sort of nods. All right. Miss Melody, would you mind if I tried something?
Of course.
All right. It's going to require a physical contact with you. I'm going to put my hand on your head. Is that all right?
And she just kind of looks kind of bewildered by it, certainly.
All right. And he walks up to you. And he reaches out with his right hand and just kind of puts it on the top of your head very gently. His fingers stay, the tips of his fingers aren't touching, they sort of stay splayed open. And he closes his eyes. And Titan will watch as the tone of his skin will keep kind of slowly shifting colors around its edges. And then Audie, in your head, you will hear a voice that is not audibly spoken to anyone else. Miss Melody, can you hear me?
As I said, she'd kind of think back really hard. If it's in her head, it's how she talks to, herself.
I sure you can.
Good job.
Actually, I was gonna say, actually, she probably wouldn't be whispering. She'd be like, "Hi, sir. Who's there?"
All right. This is Bandit. In case that wasn't clear. I'm speaking directly to you now. I'm going to wash you with a bunch of emotions. Sadness, joy, all kinds of things are going to be very extreme. I'm going to ask that you do your best to withstand it. You understand?
All right, then. Hi, sir.
All right. And you feel, Audie, the first whispers of some far distant voices, and then laughter. And the voices become a bit more clear. You can never really quite make out the sounds of the words they're speaking, but the tone is very happy. And you could kind of see these distant colors of flickering candles and fires. You can smell this sort of amorphous scent of food, but it's delicious. It makes your mouth water. And you can tell there's a large group of people gathered around probably a table, drinking and eating and laughing and telling stories. And it overwhelms you with this feeling of family, camaraderie, and happiness. Make a wisdom save.
All right. That's a 15.
you feel these emotions sort of peak, and you feel like the warmth in your cheeks. And the emotion doesn't overwhelm you, you accept it. You kind of just sort of take it as it is. This is not an unfamiliar feeling to you, especially in the environment in which this sort of like an amorphous smear of color, smell, and emotion is for you, and that this is not uncommon for what it felt like to be in your family home. And then those colors and those feelings and those smells kind of fade and fall back. And suddenly you get a shiver down your spine, and you feel like your whole body's wet. Like standing in a cold rain. And it is dark. And then there's this persistent kind of patter, and you realize it's raining, but you can't see it. You just sort of feel the constant physical intonations of these heavy raindrops hitting you. And there's, again, a smear of something in front of you. And they're shouting. And the shouts are full of anguish, pain. There's somebody reaching. Again, this dark smear. Blues, browns, greens, all surrounded by this cacophony of rain and thunder. And it feels like someone's struggling to reach another person that is nearby, but they just can't bring themselves to cover the distance. And it is sad and painful. And make another wisdom save.
Oh, that's a nat 1. That's a 2.
This isn't unreasonable to affect you in the way that it does in that Audi. This is not too unfamiliar to something you literally have just left from days prior. The dark night of fleeing Greenwood. A lot of what you are feeling and sensing is an echo of what you just lived through. The darkness of the attack, the towering trees of the emerald boughs, leaving behind your father and your brother and other people in the village to try to save others when you know the group of you that left, there's only 42 of you out of the hundreds of people that live there. And the fact that you're not sure why this had to happen at all. This overwhelming feeling of anguish and confusion and upset that there is somebody, something just out of reach, a distance that you feel like will never be able to be overcome, all forced upon you for a reason you can't comprehend. And you find yourself in Titan, you watch as Audie, still standing where she was, is crying uncontrollably. Just showers of tears falling from her eyes.
Titan doesn't enjoy seeing this, but for now, he trusts Bandit.
Melody, if you had to encompass this moment, all these feelings, into one word, what would it be?
Oh, like a description?
One word.
Oh, harrowing.
Okay. Do me a favor, make a note of that somewhere. Audie, you fall to your knees.
All right.
Bandit falls with you. And Bandit is greenish. He's greenish by design, or larger than the average humanoid, comparable to Titan in size and stature, although a bit lankier. And as he falls to his knees, mirroring you, the hand that he had hovering over your head, he drops to one side and he just pulls you into an embrace. and you can feel that wash of anguish and the harrowing experience you had to survive and have lived through seep out of you. It doesn't get rid of the memories, and it doesn't remove the emotion, but it does lessen it so that way your mind clears from the fog that you found yourself in. And as you get there, and you come to, and you finally realize the situation you found yourself in, no longer in that amorphous dark space that Bandit was speaking to you in. You are back here in the training grounds, feeling yourself cry, feeling your body shake from the imaginary cold that was once there, the memories of the nights of fleeing Greenwood. As that clarity settles, you realize somewhere inside of you, the part of you that you never quite understood, the part of your voice that you could never be certain of, you know it can be used in a way that can help you. And somewhere in this smear of emotions, somewhere in this clarity that is resolving itself, somewhere in this initial experience that Bandit has brought upon, you realize, Melody, that you do in fact have some gift for magic. And you know it is tied to your voice. And now you realize the things you have come from and the weaknesses you saw therein. Perhaps now you can speak with your voice and those things don't have to repeat themselves.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'd say she probably looks like a little afraid. She's kind of rubbing her hands over her neck. She's thinking back to, when she kind of first lost her voice and that memory, and, Roz's encouragement and her family's encouragement that maybe she could do something with this, but nothing ever came from it. And feeling this unlock gives her a sense of trepidation, almost like, oh, I know what I've done with this. That's a little terrifying to have. But then also realizing that she has the ability or can gain the ability to control it, that she doesn't have to be subject to it, that it's actually just a skill that she has. Just as she's seen, Bodden work with magic and his, the adeptness he has with that, she's realizing this might be hers.
Mm-hmm. Titan will sit back and look to Titan and just kind of gesture that, just the nod. It's done.
Titan lets out a breath he didn't know he was holding.
You'll probably have to spend some time understanding this a bit better about yourself. And I am open to visits, Miss Melody, if you wish to understand and perhaps meditate a bit on this as time goes by. I'm willing to listen and help.
How would I even practice? Oh, where do you even begin with that?
Magic is different for everybody. But if I had to give you a place to start, is that in order to use magic, you need to have the will to give it shape. I think if you speak your will out loud, you might be able to give that will and voice the magic to take shape in the form that you might want. But don't fret about it too much now. The good news is, when it comes to magic, a lot of the time it's easy to learn in the moments you need it most. And until then, you can spend time refining it until it's familiar enough to use like a second muscle. Are you good to stand?
And she kind of takes a couple of breaths and gives a nod and would stand up.
Good girl.
Always eager to try. I just don't want to hurt anyone again.
Part of using it is discipline and understanding your abilities. You'll get there. You just can't be afraid of it. Not forever. And I suppose, given that we've bled over our time a little, I guess that's where we're going to end for tonight. Ba-da-da. Yeah, I guess we're done. A little bit of a slow burn session. I hope that's okay with everybody. Next week, I do hereby swear I will have your map and your mission board finished. Along with a document that thick page document that Covert handed you that will update you on the current goings-ons and intelligence gathered by the collaborative efforts of the allies on this side of the continent. And you'll have a better idea as to what's going on, and the choices you can make and where you're going to go and things you're going to go do. Where I feel like that is officially the final jumping off point where we go from villagers to heroes.
And I mean, for the sake of Roz, we might need that 4x12 list.
I will also make sure that's done. Yeah. So we're finished. Thank you for joining us. Thank you guys for playing. Glad we had a chance to hang out. And well,
Who are we gonna raid?
good question. Let's go quickly find out.
Kelly and Dorktails are doing a rerun, but they're on vacation.
Yeah, reruns feel wrong. Let's quickly find out. I say quickly because I have to go to the bathroom. All right, well, there's a friend. Let's we're gonna go over to Oceans to Forest. A lovely pair of streamers that share a channel that we met through one of our friends whose wedding we attended over the summer.
Ooh.
So, go there and say hi to them, and give love as always. And I suppose until next week, make our choices. We'll see you then. And
Bye.
begin.
Bye.
Chat.
Bye.
Thanks for hanging out.
Now we sit in silence while the raid commences.
It's going.
Raid,
Time
Hang
again.
on.
raid,
I'm clicking the button.
raid.
Okay, we're going.
Raid.
Hey.
The raid is complete. It has been executed. Feels like a poor choice of words.
Thank you for running.
Yeah.
That was a fantastic session. I liked it.